Remember back in the old days when no one knew how to make a good video game movie? You know, like last week?
Let's go! Pick it up! Come on, go! Tie her up!
Lara Croft!
You shouldn't have come here. I'm glad that you did.
Tomb Raider gives another shot at making a movie out of the Tomb Raider video game. Lara Croft, this time being played by Alicia Vikander, bringing a different kind of energy to the role, a different kind of action movie. It is 2018 after all. Of course, it is a video game adaptation. That's one strike. It's a reboot. That might be another strike. Lots of strikes already going against this. Can it fight out from underneath him, Lara Croft style? Let's check it out with 5 things you might want to know about Tomb Raider. I am happy to report, yes, it can fight out from all those things going against it. I had a blast with this movie. I think it's really fun. The key element in that is Vikander. She is so great as Lara Croft. I love the action part of her. I don't know that I've ever seen her be this actiony. She does it so well. It's a great performance as far as understanding the backstory and depth of what this character is going through. It's interesting because I just recently rewatched the older Tomb Raider starring Angelina Jolie, and there was such a disconnect of the emotion of that character and why she really cared about what she was doing. And all of that is here, big time. Now, I will say the cast around her, I don't know that they quite live up to her performance. They're decent performances, but they're not as good as her. So I really think a lot of the reason this movie succeeds is on the back of its star. I also think it succeeds because it's actually cerebral. It actually takes the time to think through a lot of the puzzle aspect of what's going on here. Now, the video game was known as kind of a puzzle and action adventure game. And the movies never really captured the depth of puzzle solving. In this movie, I'm not saying it's front and center, but it's there in a way that I think is integral to the story and also clever and interesting and actually makes sense for the most part. So in order to do that, that's not always an easy task, but there are moments throughout this movie where I'm like, that's actually a nice little brain teaser. I kind of enjoyed that. And to be able to pull that off amidst all the action and adventure, I think is a real trick, and I think they do it well. The other thing this movie has going for it that I really loved about it is it feels very authentic and real to what Lara Croft is good at, what she does well. The archery, the martial arts, all of the things that she does in this movie, there is an actual, legitimate, authentic reason she does them well. And the movie takes its time to set that up. Therefore, you believe this is an actual person. I think one of the big strikes against a lot of video game movies is they feel like video game characters. They just feel like superheroes who are superheroes and can do everything. And there's something about this actual human being who is very young but learning how to come into these things that she excels at. And by the end of the movie, that's one of the reasons I'm ready for a sequel, because I want to see, what she gets good at next. I want to see where she goes from here. So I think the movie does such a great job at building an actual, full, authentic character that we're along for the ride in a really meaningful way. Okay, so the movie's not perfect. It's not like we have an Oscar contender here. There are some things that we can shout out. Now, this one isn't a real problem for me, so we'll give it a yellow, but I think it might be for some. I think the movie's longer than it needs to be. I think it could have been shortened up quite a bit. I never felt that length. There was always something going on and something to keep my attention. I was never distracted by being bored. However, if you're not on this movie's frequency, if you have come to a place where you're like, I'm not buying into this, I can see how the length would become an issue. There are certainly moments that are talky. There are certainly moments that are character-based. And if you're not into the characters, I can see those moments as a little distracting or off-putting. Wasn't that way for me, but I wanted to give you a warning. Really, my only negative with the film, and it's not even too big of one, is the same negative I've had with all the Tomb Raider movies, and probably the video game if I played it, because it probably comes from there. It's a flaw with the actual character of Lara Croft. Everything's her fault. If you look at the plots of these movies, she causes it all, and we're supposed to be rooting for her, but if she would just do the smart thing to begin with, None of these movies would ever happen, and that continues in this movie. And I'm not going to give anything away about the plot, except to say, once again, it is her fault. And that kind of bothers me a little bit because you want your hero not to make stupid mistakes. Having said that, in this one, even more than the others, she's aware of the mistakes she's making at a different level, so I do think that helps. Still, I do think it's a flaw of the film. Overall, though, I had a great time with Tomb Raider. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed the performances. I enjoyed the puzzle solving. There's enough here for me to give it a solid B+. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the Best Ever Challenge here in a bit. Before we do, let's hang out and chat movies. If you love film the way I do, I would love to have you part of this community. Twitter's the best place. That's where I do most of my social. If you go to Aaron Dicer on Twitter, follow me there, and we can go back and forth, tweet at each other. I love that kind of stuff. I'm in the comments here at YouTube as well, so you can subscribe, leave comments, all that kind of fun stuff. I appreciate that very much. The growth of this community at YouTube has been a wonderful thing. Podcasting. If you listen to podcasts, we do a pop culture podcast, basically a movie review podcast, weekly. And that's called SiftPop, SiftPop. So if you do the podcast thing, pull open your podcast player, just search for SiftPop, subscribe, see if you like an episode, and then stick with us if you do. So I appreciate that. And also really appreciate those who are supporting this YouTube channel with your own dollar bills. Thank you for that. It's at patreon.com/yourmoviefriend. And starts at $3 a month. There's some fun perks that go along with it. And I really appreciate everybody who's doing that. I could not do it without you. All right, on to the Best Ever Challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. And also try to guess my choice based on a clue. We're going to go with Best Walton Goggins Movies. By the way, it was embarrassingly long before I realized it wasn't Walter Goggins, but Walton Goggins. He's had an interesting career. I'm going to have to go with the one that is not the car or the city in Nebraska or the penny. Well, kind of the penny. Take a guess at mine in the comments. First person to get it right does get a point. Love to see your choice there as well. As always, I'll give you a few extra seconds to hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once it pops up, just click my face.